up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
To hear this, but let me put this out here. Stop sparing folks. Hello, somebody. Stop sparing folks. Nobody cared when your feelings was hurt. Nobody cared when you was pacing the floor. Nobody cared when you was sliding down the wall. Nobody cared when you was standing over there with a face full of tears. You had to suck it up, buttercup. But then when it come to other folk feelings, here you are. Want to tiptoe around it. Want to avoid the elephant in the room. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to disturb the peace. Stop sparing folk. Ain't nobody spare you when it was your turn. Give it to them real. Give it to them raw. Give it to them uncut and uncensored. This is exactly what it is. This way you had me messed up at. Yeah. I ain't playing with nobody this season, baby. I'm gonna say this right here, baby, because some of y'all be acting like y'all don't be seeing it. But baby, playing victim in a situation that you created, oh yeah, baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. Hello, somebody, how you gonna create the storm, then get mad when it rain? How you hurt somebody and then get mad that they hurt? How you damage somebody, go outside your way to destroy a person and then get mad when they no longer want to deal with you? Baby, playing a victim in a situation that you created, oh baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. I'm sorry, but it is.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
Thursday, folks. Happy Thursday. We have a lot of articles up. When I have articles up, it loves nothing more than to slow down our time here. Let me just make sure these are all paused before I get moving too much, because I think that's what it has to do with. Those are all paused. Everything else appears to be paused. Hopefully that fixed the problem, but maybe not. I'm unsure. But either way, we're here. We're going to get through these things together, and then we'll get on to the topic of conversation. The story that we're about to cover right now is not, see that little ad over here moving around up on the screen? That's what causes the lag, all that nonsense there. So we're going to get into this. I'm just going to go over this just really quickly. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. We have a smaller chat, so let me go up here and just see if I can say hi to everybody before we start. Denise, Melanie, it's nice to see you. Phil, Tina, good morning. T.D. Dean, our beautiful Melanie is up in the chat. Panda Bears, Mom, it's nice to see you. Lisa B, always. Good morning. Good morning. Carla, Southern Grammy, Gigi for life. It's nice to see you. Donna, Deanna, Car Guy. Hello, Peggy, Emma Louise. It's nice to see you. Lisa B, always. I think I've already said hi to you. Vicky, Pussy, Willow, Pendercat. It's nice to see you up in the house. Phil from across the pond. Hey. PB Green Room. It's nice to see you. Thank you for giving me that thumbs up. So don't forget to thumbs up this morning. Texas Life Julie. It's nice to see you. Phoenix Moon. Good morning. Mary, Donna, if I didn't say hi to you. Kathleen, it's nice to see you. SRK, good morning. Faye, it's nice to have you as well. Kelly and Gigi, it's nice to see you guys. So we're going to be going over a case that kind of popped up, and it's very curious because I have some type of opinion on it, right? So it's another one. I don't want to throw a 15-year-old under a bus or anything like that, but we're going to get into the details of it because something just isn't quite making sense to me. I'm not sure what it is. It could be just, video game playing, earphones on type of thing. But there is a mom and her 8-year-old son that are deceased today. This happened, my understanding, I think a few days ago, maybe a week ago, something to that effect. I don't know why. I know why I didn't see it or hear it. It's because I've been completely consumed with court stuff. But either way, we're going to discuss it because it needs to be looked into. And some of the things that law enforcement is saying is kind of making me say, not so fast. Something might more be going on here. So we'll go over those details here in just a few moments. But right now, law enforcement is looking for a man. This man is accused of unaliving 4 people with a sharp-bladed instrument. I don't know how to describe it. I gotta worry about descriptions because I might cut this up and put this on TikTok, so I've got to be able to use TikTok language, which is baby language, because we have people over there that can't handle the truth. So it was in a mobile home park. The unfortunate thing is, not only did adults lose their life, it sounds like a child was also among this one. And this is in Perry, Georgia. I've actually been in Perry, Georgia, at least on 2 separate occasions. And it's a lot of farmland out in Perry, Georgia. But 4 people were unalived in Perry, Georgia on Friday, according to Perry Police Chief Alan Everidge. Everidge said Perry police officers were doing a wellness check around 6:45 p.m. on Friday when they discovered 4 deceased bodies at the Westwood Trailer Park, about 1100 block of Gaines Drive. In the release sent out Saturday, the release of the name and age of the victims, 4 women and girls were killed. So they are Belua Robinson, 82, Michelle Joyner, 51, Taquande Robinson, 37, and of course a 2-year-old child, which is the one that is bothersome. I mean, not that adults aren't bothersome, but I think it's especially heinous when you injure or unalive a defenseless child, one that's done nothing wrong, one that isn't even capable of lying, something so innocent and pure. That's the one that gets me. Captain Jason Jones with the Perry Criminal Investigation Division said that it was a sharp-bladed incident. All 4 bodies will be brought to GBI Crime Lab in Macon on Monday for an autopsy. Investigators could not confirm when the attack occurred, but says it likely happened more than an hour before the bodies were discovered. From the appearance of what we had when we went into the residence, it wasn't something that had occurred within the last hour, Jones said. Jones said they do have a person of interest, a male, however, could not provide further details. All 4 victims were related per Everidge's report. Jones said he believed the attack was carried out by a single individual with prior relationships with one of the victims. There is a lot of evidence, and we're having to analyze and filter through it, Jones said. Right now, we haven't charged anybody, but we're continuing to take steps to get closer to that. Everidge said that GBI is processing the scene, and investigators are interviewing potential witnesses and putting together a timeline. We just want to make sure we do everything to help get every piece of evidence to identify who did this horrific crime, Everidge said. Chuck Hill, who has said he is a family friend of the victim, spoke to 13 WMAZ on Friday night. I feel bad for my brother. I feel bad for my whole family. He said, all the family, the whole family is here. Everybody is grieving. Everybody is mourning. I grew up with these people. They were the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Everidge said authorities believe Friday's homicides were isolated incident. And I want you guys to remember that, isolated incident, and there is no danger to the Perry community, because that's going to be an important little blurb that we're going to get to on the case of the mom and the child, because it's a little bit problematic for me. We have this new case that I'm kind of, pillaging, is looking at and seeing if there's anything that, causes me to gravitate toward it, right? It's got to have some little twists and turns to it. And this is the one that has kind of spoken to me. And it's a little sad because we don't know what's going on. Again, the reason why I told you to focus on the isolated incident situation is because we have another case where law enforcement is on the record saying similar things. And it is the case of Jessica, I don't know if it's Lyman or Lyman, but it's Lyman, and her 8-year-old son, Eli Painter. Now, she has 2 older children, one that's 17, a 17-year-old daughter, and a 15-year-old boy, and they're from different parents. So Eli is their step sibling. Eli, I don't know if she was married to Eli's father or if they, what the situation is with that. But we do have, obviously some persons of interest for us, maybe law enforcement might have already excluded them, or are looking at them as well. But we have obviously the little boy's father as a person of interest. Where is he? What was he doing at the time? Was she seeing anybody else? Was she, actively dating? Anybody she was actively dating would be a person of interest. And her 15-year-old son was in the house. Now, I don't know how he was in the house. Was he playing video games? Did he have earphones on? Did he come later? And that's even more problematic, because it sounds like the 17-year-old daughter, when she came home, she freaked out because she saw her mother and her brother covered in a red-like substance. So it was very shocking for her to see her mother and her brother in that manner. But according to law enforcement, the 15-year-old child son was still in the house. And I don't know at what point he got there, or if he was there during the assault, or, you also now have to look at him as a person of interest as well, him being inside the home. And the way the language is, it sounds like he was inside the home in his bedroom at the time of the event. But that's reading between the lines and not specifically what it says. So again, another, it's never comfortable for us to have to look at that, but we have to look at everybody in and around this mother and this child, and who would have the motives, means, and opportunity to do something like this. We also have the off chance that this could have been a robbery gone bad. Mom came in with son and spooked the robber. Older son didn't realize what was going on in his room, playing video games, something like that. We have to look at that avenue as well. We don't know what's going on, but with the robbery scenario, it's really lower on the totem pole because of some of the statements I heard the sheriff or police chief make early in this. I think it was the police chief, the Saratoga Springs police chief, that made some statements, and those were the ones that I'm focused on, because those were pretty telling in my opinion. I don't know if this is the right one.
Have you ever been tempted to pull up your
sports broadcasters? I don't know what they're gonna say or do, but let me just get through this. I don't know if I need to refresh this one because it sat so long. We'll find out.
At 4 o'clock, the Saratoga Springs family is mourning the loss of a mother and a child who were laid to rest today.
Today's funeral was for an 8-year-old and his mother, who were shot in their Saratoga Springs townhome. At this point, there are still no answers from police as to what happened. Kristen McPeak joins us live in Saratoga Springs this afternoon with how they are responding, the police are responding to our calls.
Well, the neighborhood pretty quiet right now.
Looks like a nice neighborhood.
Out, and it's just pretty, like I said, quiet. And so police, though, filled this neighborhood just about a week and a half ago.
People filed into a Saratoga Springs chapel Tuesday, a somber moment as they gathered to honor the lives of mother Jessica Lyman and her son, Eli Painter. The two were found shot in this Saratoga Springs townhome a week and a half ago on March 28th. It's unclear how this happened. Calls to the Saratoga Springs Police Department were made today. I had a few questions. What updates do you have? What's the timeline for getting any updates? What are you doing in this investigation? A spokesperson says police still have no update as investigators are conducting interviews and subpoenas right now. The spokesperson says these things take time.
And we're told that Jessica and her son will be buried in a Lehigh cemetery later this afternoon.
So I'm going to read what it says here. Family and friends held a funeral of the boy and for the boy and his mother. I don't like that. They should be listed Eli and Jessica. I'm sorry, but they deserve respect in the very first line, not the second line. Who were shot in their home. Eli Painter, 8, was found deceased on March 28, and his mother, Jessica, I think it might be Lyman. Jessica Lyman, 44, was found critically injured, but later died from her injuries. Nearly after a week and a half after the shooting, police have not publicly identified a suspect. They have not said exactly how the boy died or how Lyman was injured. KUTV 2 News reached out to Saratoga Springs Police Department and asked the following questions. We heard her say that. There doesn't appear to be any comment. We also have some more information from another news broadcast, and this one comes from, I can't see who this is. I'm not sure what channel this is, but it says the mother of 8 who was shot and killed by Saratoga in their Saratoga Springs townhome last week has also died from her injuries. Jessica and her son Eli were both involved in a apparent shooting at the Saratoga Springs townhomes on Friday. Eli, he was DOA, so they had to process him there at the scene, just for your information. And Lyman, she was in the hospital for I believe 3 days and then succumbed to her injuries. Lyman's 15-year-old son and 17-year-old daughter were in the house at 1244 North Willowbrook Lane. That's not what they said. They said that the daughter had just came home and the son was in his bedroom. So we'll get to that information here shortly. At 1244 North Willowbrook Lane, police said that the girl making the initial call to the police after finding her mother and brother unconscious. Further details about the shooting and how the two were wounded have not been released, but investigators said Thursday they are making progress. Saratoga Spring officials confirmed Lyman died Monday in the hospital. Jessica's life was defined by her deep love for her family, her unwavering dedication to her career, and her generous spirit, her obituary states. She worked tirelessly to create a home filled with love, laughter, and warmth, ensuring they always felt supported and cherished. Lyman will be remembered for her kindness, resilience, and the impact she had on those around her, the obituary continued. Her big, beautiful blue eyes were as unforgiving as her generous heart, the obituary states. Eli was an eager learner who loved math, thrived on curiosity and creativity, and recently discovered love of pickleball. His obituary said he loved cooking dinner with his mom, cherished his family, and had a kind heart. Though this time for us was far too short, Eli filled every moment with boundless energy, laughter, and love, the obituary states. He was a bright light in the lives of all who knew him. His adventurous spirit, infectious enthusiasm, and tender heart left an unforgettable mark on his family and friends. Neighbors told KLS TV that the vigil was held Tuesday for the woman and her son. There was some crying. There was a lot of laughs. Good memories told about the family, neighbor Madeline Duke said. It was very sad to think about a child passing away and then having that mother have to go through what she did and then pass away herself. It's very sad, especially from the standpoint of a parent. Although police said there was no danger to the public after responding to the scene. That's the other thing. There's no danger to the public right here. There's no danger to the public. So that means it was somebody known to this family, and that's where the problem lies in my uncomfortableness of this case. Although police said there was no danger to the public responding to the scene Friday, neighbors said they are uneasy about what has happened since little information has been given in the days since. So neighbors are starting to be a little curious and stuff like that. I also was watching, which is what brought my attention to this case to begin with, was Law and Crime. We're going to hear a little bit about that. I'm trying to find the update of the one I saw with the, good gracious, I can't speak this morning, with the chief or the sheriff's office. I have not yet found that, but I will find that in just a second. Let me clear this out. So hopefully it helps with some of the lag that I'm dealing with now that I got through the articles. It's always the articles that jam up my system. It's not any of the videos like on Facebook and stuff. So we have about one more. And this is related to Saratoga Springs, Utah. The woman critically injured in the Saratoga Springs, which she and her young son were shot last week, has now passed away. Jessica Lynn was found next to the body of her son inside their home Friday. Eli, 8 years old, died at the scene while Lyman was taken to the hospital in critical condition. According to her obituary, she passed away on Monday of her injuries while hospitalized. Saratoga Springs Police Department confirmed Lyman's death. Following the incident, police shared that both bodies were covered in red-like substance, although no information on what led to the shooting or who was responsible was released. Lyman's 2 teenage daughters were also in the house at the time, and that's not what any of the new information states. So let me see if this is the right
shopping.
Okay, let me pull that back up. I think I want this one. There we go. And I'll get to you guys as I see one person has a milestone. So I'll get to those in just a second when I'm back on that screen.
Day.
And right now we begin with breaking news.
We just got more information after an 8-year-old was found dead inside of a Saratoga Springs home on Friday. Police tell us when they got to the home, it appeared 2 people had been shot. The young boy who died and his mother, 44-year-old Jessica Lyman, who was flown to a local hospital and is still in critical condition. Police say the 17-year-old daughter had come home to this and she made the call to 911. Officials say they are still investigating and looking for possible suspects. If anyone has any information, please call Saratoga Springs PD. In studio, Avery Klanowski, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So that was the one of, let me catch it before it, I'll just add another one in just a second. There we go. So we don't have to listen to that. So that was where they identified that the daughter came home. So the daughter came home. She saw this. She immediately, from my understanding, called law enforcement. I know it was unclear in the previous articles, which, again, as the case starts unraveling, there's things that they don't want information out. So people start, honing in on that and not releasing so much detail. But the stuff that's released early on, I really do listen to that, because that's before people are starting to get tighter-lipped or don't want information out. So the daughter was coming home, I would presume, from school, but I can't guarantee that is the case when it comes to this. I don't know. I really don't. So all I can go off is what is out there for us to look at, and we're going through everything that I can find right now, so we're all on the same page.
Night, we now know the names. So the Saratoga Springs mother and son, police say, were found shot. That 8-year-old boy was found dead inside the townhome there alongside his mother.
News specialist Shelby Lofton joining us live from the neighborhood where this happened. An absolute tragedy. Shelby, what new details are we learning today?
Dan and Ashley, police released 2 names today. They called both this mother and son victims in their release. We now know that 8-year-old Eli Painter died on Friday, and his mom, 44-year-old Jessica Lyman, is still in the hospital in critical condition. She lives in a home here in this quiet neighborhood with her 3 children. She has 2 older teenagers. Police said they're still in the process of identifying any suspects. We first learned about this tragic situation Friday morning. Police tell us that's when a 17-year-old found her mom and brother unconscious and called 911. They said a 15-year-old boy was also in the house. The police chief said in a release today, both victims were treated by medics immediately, but Painter had no chance of revival. Investigators say they searched this area for video surveillance. They also looked through the home for evidence, and they said family members are being interviewed. Now, police told us on Friday the father of the 15 and 17-year-old did show up on the scene. He was very concerned for his children. We were told 8-year-old Painter had a different dad who does not live in the home. Police said on Friday he had been told what had happened here. This department is asking anyone with information on this to call them at this number we have up on your screen. It's 801-766-6500. And we asked Saratoga Springs Police if they would do an interview with us today. Still a lot of questions the community has. They're calling this a death investigation, and they have not released any suspect names. We were told today by police that the release they shared is the only information they can share with us right now. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, so many questions.
So those are, I kind of got these in the back because they should have been in the opposite direction. We started out with the beginning and going backwards, but I think it's important because we need to hear the information. But what we're identifying is the families are being interviewed. I really feel it's just hard this day and age because our young children are doing such horrible things to adults, you know. But there's a piece of me that feels with the youngest child also being a victim. I feel like this could be, you know, and God forgive me, I don't want to think it's a 15-year-old and I don't want to think it's this boy's child, but in many of these cases, it's somebody that's known to them. It's somebody that is a figure. It's somebody that would be passionate enough to allow themselves to get, you know, this seems like a passion situation for me, especially in light of this being an isolated incident, so to speak, by law enforcement. So that's where the concern comes in with this case is, you know, who did it? And I really feel at this point, it's somebody that they know and is somebody that's family to one another in part, you know, whether it's the boy's father or brother. But again, those are the reasons why I don't believe this is a robbery that's gone bad or a stranger type of situation. I feel like this is much closer to home, and it's sad that it is. So we've already learned that she died from in the hospital, but we'll see if there's, let me see if this is the one. Yeah, let's watch this one. This one does have some information in it.
And son who are now dead after a shooting in Saratoga Springs.
Jessica Lyman passed away days after the death of her 8-year-old son, Eli. Both were apparently shot inside of their home.
All right, Brian Malahi live in Saratoga Springs for us right now. Brian, police have been in that neighborhood for days now.
And we saw an officer walking through the townhouse community just this afternoon as the biggest question here remains: who killed mother and son?
The other part of me is devastated for her family and the other kids.
Sage Bronson sees neighborhood action in the investigation of the death of a mom of 3 and one of her children. Have police paid a visit to your house?
A couple times, just different ones asking just to look at the ring footage. They had another dog, I believe, go into the house.
They came to mind. They said that they would be looking in the backyard.
Neighbor Dallas Clements and Bronson never heard shots, but Clements saw the aftermath of the horror. He says 2 teens emerged from the home that had become a crime scene.
They were crying out loud. They were screaming.
At the police department, a spokesman said only the investigation is continuing.
No one knows what to think.
And funeral services for son and mother are scheduled for next week here in Utah County. Live in Saratoga Springs, Brian Malahi, KUTV.
So again, a situation that has this undertone of, something. I'm not sure exactly what the undertone is, but there is an undertone here, that's being hush-hush, which it sounds like a lot of people, there is ring footage. It sounds like a lot of people, and it also makes me believe, did the kids come home together? And maybe it was just the reason why things got conflicted on the brother and sister coming in, 17, 15, they probably went to potentially the same school, got off around the same time, were probably getting to the house around the same time. It is possible, but again, I can only go by what's in the news, and it's leaving this weird vibe of, the son was inside the home and the daughter was just getting home. So, and my first thing is, if the son got there first, why in the world didn't he call law enforcement? If he was there all day, how did he not know? But we can't say anything because we don't have that information. He's a 15-year-old boy. We have to understand that. And there's other possibilities here. The mom and the stepson or the stepbrother, what would be the reason for the mom and the stepbrother? Maybe because the other kids weren't there at the time that this occurrence happened. With the son being there, was the father bringing the son back to the mother? I mean, we've got a whole host of questions, but whatever it is, I kind of feel this vibe of it being absolutely 100% somebody they know. And it could be maybe a on again, off again boyfriend as well. We don't know much about her life or who she was dating or who she was seeing at the time. We do know her older children and her young son did not have the same parents. Same father, rather. Step or half brother. It's a half brother. They all have the same mom. You're right, half brother. They all have the same mom. Two of them have the same father. One of them has a different dad. So half siblings. Yes, you're right. Whispering Winds. Electric gate and new concrete buildings with concrete driveway that leads to the woods. The camper is tarped now and moved. They used a white tarp for what? Or at this scene, or are you talking about something else, Sasha? I didn't understand that. Is this the one? I want the one where the chief speaks, and I can't find that one. Hold on. I want to hear. I think that might be this one. I can't find the one that I watched this morning, and it's going to go to A&E after this. All right, well then maybe it's the A&E one that I missed. Hold on, let me just look here and see if they've got it. There, okay, it is the A&E one. Okay, so I'll skip this one since what I'm looking for is on A&E, or not A&E, Law and Crime rather. There's a couple spots on Law and Crime I want to listen to. So this guy here, I want to listen to him because he's the prior, I want to say prosecutor. What was he? Maybe police chief, a Utah police. I can't remember. Yeah, I think he's a retired police chief in Utah.
But for little Eli, it was already too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Jessica was still clinging to life. She was airlifted in critical condition to a nearby hospital. Investigators sealed off the home, collecting evidence and interviewing family members. In a press conference, Saratoga Springs Police Chief Bill Robertson made it clear no one was being ruled out.
Everybody's a suspect to us right now until we can get down the road on some things and start piecing it together.
While investigators said there was no danger to the public, detectives were sent to the hospital as Jessica fought for. No one. Conference off the home. Springs Police Chief Bill Robertson made.
Bill Robertson. Let me see if I can find the full press conference. I'd like to see the whole press conference. Bill Robinson. Sorry, guys. I want to see if I can find him. Press conference. Let me try to see Jessica Lyman. I'm not finding this press conference. If anybody finds that press conference, send it to me by email. This one right here where it shows this police chief speaking. It was at a press conference, so I have to assume it's somewhere. Someone has the full copy of this. I'd like to review that. So if you guys come across it, please send that to me.
Made it clear no one was being ruled out.
Everybody's a suspect to us right now until we can get down the road.
The question is, who's everybody to him? You know, you're not going to, I mean, the neighbors could be, yes. So neighbors, RSOs in the area would be suspects, but who's everybody? It's not really everybody. He has somebody in mind.
Some things and start piecing it together.
While investigators said there was no danger to the public, detectives were sent to the hospital as Jessica fought for her life.
No danger to the public. Allegedly, no danger to the public. Those are critical words that are said. This when I hear those words, it means it's a little closer to home for me, or a targeted hit. That's what those things mean to me. So I want to get to this guy here. This is a pretty interesting. He again is the a prior retired police chief.
One-on-one, and where we know this is a shooting, we don't know if this was from a long rifle, a long-barreled weapon. It could have happened from the street corner, or if it was something that happened at close range. So you look at things like, is there some gunpowder burns around the wound? They call it stippling. This idea that maybe there was a close range shot versus something that happened out in front of the house and through the picture window.
And another thing, we don't know if there was any firearms inside their residence for protection. A mom with 3 kids, very well in Utah, may entertain having multiple. Utah's a different place. It's not for city folks. You guys really don't not to be rude, but don't understand country life or Midwest life. And this looks like a more populated area than a lot of the areas in around Utah, the state of Utah. But people have to have ways to defend themselves, because law enforcement and first responders in some cases are 45 minutes away. That is correct. When you get in more desolate areas, it takes longer for services. So you have to be able to defend yourself. You have to be able, if there's wildlife out there, such as bears, coyotes, other animals that can kill you, you've got to be able to defend yourself from those. And that's why people have different types of guns. If you're going for a walk, you're not going to be carrying a rifle for protection. If you're worried about bears, you most likely will have a handgun, so you're not fighting with it in time of need. So there's reasons for these types of firearms to be present inside homes, especially in Midwest areas, due to the fact that they don't get, and rural areas, due to the fact that they can't get services. But again, I don't know if that necessarily applies here. This looks like a Saratoga Springs. I didn't even check the population. Utah is developed, but other areas are not. I know I was in Moab, Utah, and it looked like I went back to the 1950s. So I'm just saying. There's a lot out there that there's nothing out there. So Saratoga Springs doesn't appear to me to be that rural.
But when you have 2 victims, you start looking at some of the behaviors inside of the room from the perspective of, where are those wounds? Are they wounds that would appear that the person who pulled the trigger was facing head on? Or was one of the wounds a victim who may have been running away from the scene and shot as they were trying to flee? So all of these things can start providing some real interesting behaviors that can help you kind of theorize what was going on in the crime scene. And then you got to look more beyond just the victim themselves and start looking at the crime scene in totality. Is there something that indicates that the predator in this particular case forced their way into the residence, or were they somehow able to con their way in, or they're known to the victims and they walked in?
And that's where we're kind of in this little pickle, because most of these types of crimes, typically don't happen from a stranger. Okay. There's usually a domestic violence tinge to some of these cases that we cover. Home environment. It sounds like she was a very loving, caring person. I had an opportunity to pull some photos and review her LinkedIn, and I don't know if I pulled up her LinkedIn or not, but still very concerning. An 8-year-old boy, even if it was a domestic related or this child's father, I pray to God it wasn't, but there's some reasons why it could be, because maybe he didn't want his child to have to live through whatever was going to come. I truly believe when people make these decisions to take somebody's life, they understand the consequences, whether they try to run from the consequences or not. I truly understand. And it was because of, I don't think I quite understood. I mean, we know that they know what they're doing, but I don't think I quite understood until that, remember that one we covered, and I can't remember what show he was on, but he was on a show and his wife was pen pals with a person that, took out his whole family and in jail. Do you guys remember that? I can't remember. They called him something, but he's well known on TV or podcast or whatever it is. And his wife was trying to hire some convict to be the middleman for a hitman to go after the guy. We just talked about it not too long ago, and I, for the life of me, can't remember. Let me see, something adventure or something. Wow, wife. Ghost Adventures, Aaron Goodwin. It's his wife, Aaron Goodman. That's it. And Ghost Adventures. Yes. Ghost Adventures. And it was a statement that she made in text to this guy that she was befriending and wanting to be with in prison, if he could do this. This hit for her, and she even said, am I a horrible person for wanting to end his existence instead of divorce? And that's when I think for the first time it hit me, the actual understanding of what these people are doing before they do it. And that's what's so disturbing for me. Yes, she's not right. And so that leads me to this, if it was the boy's father, which we don't know it is, and I don't want to sit there. These are all theory based. This is not factual in any nature. We don't have enough information to be factual other than theorize who it could or could not be. Because of the boy being deceased, that's the part that's getting me hung up, is, in same with the older kids, which I'm kind of feeling like the brother and the sister came home at the same time. And, it's going to lead to somebody else. And the idea that at 15, yes, we're hearing a lot about children doing horrible things to their parents, but their parents, you're not hearing that they're doing it to their siblings. In most cases, it's usually the mom or the dad or both. And the siblings are usually left alone in cases like that. But this is where an 8-year-old boy is also, in the crosshairs of this crime, and was the first victim of it. It's either, I feel like it's either a boyfriend or this boy's father. Somebody that she had seen that she was breaking off with, and she can't have this around her son, and maybe he was frustrated with her son. Maybe he blamed the son for ending the relationship. People, there's more and more unstable people out there, and quite frankly, it's a lot of the parents' fault. There's so many people that coddle their kids into their 30s. What? What? It's parents have got life is rough. We have to fall down in order to pick ourselves up. We have to skin our knees and skin our elbows to understand life. It's part of, cutting the umbilical cords and kicking your offspring out of the nest to go thrive, flap their wings and fly. And a lot of the problems I'm seeing, and I'm sorry, I know that this might hit home for some of my audience, but despite, I mean, obviously there's some children that just struggled, they're going through it's just life, this is what you have to do for now. But for many people, their children never even leave home. They never even go and try to find a job, a home, a life of their own. They sit under mommy and daddy's roof and get frustrated when they interrupt them playing video games at 30. This is happening all over the country. And I think that is not in this case part of the problem. Could be, but I think that we're causing a lot of unstable behavior in the next generation. That's my problem, is the instability of the next generation. I don't know what's going on in this particular case, but my gut is leading me that there is definitely somebody that's very close to these two victims, very close. How close, I don't know. But statistically, it's going to be somebody that's in and around this family, and that's sad. So it must be very hard for the family as well, because you're probably looking at everybody, wondering who did this. But I have a funny feeling the daughter and the son already know. If it's, again, the son, the way the reports were, is the older brother, the 15-year-old, was in the house. Maybe we should go ahead and play some of the further backs, because we're getting into his statement, but I want you to hear the beginning of this, about this case.
Painter murdered, both found reportedly unconscious and covered in blood from gunshot wounds. Police confirm it was Lyman's teenage daughter who made the 911 call after stumbling upon the unimaginable. Jessica was still breathing, barely. She was rushed by helicopter in a desperate attempt to save her life, but just days later, she was gone. Now, nearly a week later, no arrests, no suspects named, and no motive revealed. Who would want this family dead? Was it someone they knew or a stranger? Could the answer be hiding in plain sight? And what did those surviving children see or hear? I'll break down what happened and walk you through the details. For Law and Crime News, I'm Kennedy Walker. For this story, we go to Saratoga Springs, Utah, a city roughly 35 miles south of Salt Lake City.
So it's a suburb, 35 miles south. I mean, that's pretty far from, I guess, not a suburb of Salt Lake, but it is a more populated area, which is one of the questions I had at the beginning.
A community is left devastated, trying to understand how a mother and son were shot inside their own home. It was the morning of March 28th, 2025. Just after 10 a.m., Saratoga Springs police received a 911 call. According to Saratoga Springs police,
There's a question here. It's 10:15 in the morning. What 15-year-old and 17-year-old are home on a Friday? Was that spring break? Can somebody confirm whether spring break was going on in Utah time? Because I just realized the time's 10:15, and you would assume that, kids would be in school. So we have mom and young son, 8 years old. He should also be in school. So there must have been a reason that they were not in school. Spring break, perhaps. That's what I'm thinking, Whispering Winds. That's what I'm thinking. Because, I mean, right now it's 10:40 and, it's a Thursday and most of your kids are in school. So that does problem. Our kids had spring break last week, so it might have been spring break. Peggy says that's what I'm thinking. Parent teacher conference. So that might be why the daughter comes back. Okay, so let me back up just a little bit. Sorry, guys, I just wanted to find out about that. Sorry.
Morning of March 28th, 2025. Just after 10 a.m., Saratoga Springs police received a 911 call. According to Saratoga Springs police, a 17-year-old girl had just returned home and found her mother, Jessica Lyman, and 8-year-old brother, Eli Painter, shot and covered in blood. Police say another sibling, a 15-year-old boy, was also inside the home at the time. He was uninjured.
See? That's what leads me to believe that he was in the home at the time this crime took place and he was uninjured. They didn't say she was uninjured. You see where the confusion is is where my problem lies with this and what's going on, and why I'm looking also now at the 15-year-old boy because of that statement. He was in the home and he was uninjured. Now, why didn't he call law enforcement? That's what's leading me to believe that there is, some more to be had with this story. We already know that because nobody's arrested and they don't know what happened. But this was the video that I was watching when I heard these things, and Law and Crime is really good about understanding the facts of the case. More so, in my opinion, than local media in distributing facts. And why do I say that? Is because they deal with nothing but law and crime, right? So I don't see them mistaking who was where when. I think Law and Crime would have pulled to get more documentation under confidentiality or whatever, in sources within departments, trusting them to open up a little bit more with them, which does not always happen. So I don't see them mistaking that or making them statement that the daughter just got home and the other brother, the 15-year-old, was inside and uninjured. They didn't say the 17-year-old was inside and uninjured. They said that she was just getting home, that the 15-year-old boy was inside and uninjured. So that is my first, not that it means much, right? We're just developing. The story is just developing. So we don't, thank you, Grace, a grave crime with Grace. It's nice to see you. Hold on just a second. Let me go ahead and, Lisa B. always gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from Lisa B. always, please tell her thank you. For you, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room. Dee's Mystery Obsessed. Keep the coffee brewing. Amen for that. And Grave Crime with Grace. Also, Gracious gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room, and each and every one of you, welcome to this crazy crew. So now you guys are kind of getting the feeling I'm getting when we're hearing this. We have to analyze every specific detail that is available to the public that is fact. And the bottom line is, it appears that a 15-year-old boy that was uninjured was inside his bedroom when the mom and brother were found deceased, covered in red-like substance, and have a bullet wound or bullet wounds, plural. We don't know. If it was multiple, if it was one, if it was close up, if it was far away, we have no information. They're keeping it tight-lipped, which almost implies that it's somebody very close and they don't want to tip their hat just yet.
First responders rushed to the scene and tried to desperately save both mom and son. But for little Eli, it was already too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Jessica was still clinging to life. She was airlifted in critical condition to a nearby hospital. Investigators sealed off the home, collecting evidence and interviewing family members. In a press conference, Saratoga Springs Police Chief Bill Robertson made it clear no one was being ruled out.
Everybody's a suspect to us right now until we can get down the road on some things and start piecing it together.
Okay. Everybody's a suspect. Now it comes back to everybody truly is a suspect. And it's unfortunate as it is. That encompasses a 17-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy. And I pray to God that this was not either one of them. Right now we don't have enough information to lead to any real deductive reasoning other than based upon our experience, it's going to be most likely somebody very close to this family. And that is very, very, very sad. We have some great talking points tonight. I'm not sure when I'm going to do the live this evening. I try to make sure that other creators I'm not intruding on other creators, because I know we share a lot of same, stuff, and I don't want to take you from one show to the other. So I'll try to manage my show between other shows this evening, but we're going to come back and we're going to be talking about specific talking points as it relates to Sebastian Rogers' case. We're starting to get some information in. We're going to go ahead and get a Google map and start plugging those places into the Google map. So we have, I have a working map. So when I'm in the area, I can look up Sebastian's saved folder in Google Maps and start. If I'm near a place, I can just get out. If I have an hour or two, I can get out and start getting in the woods, start looking around, start asking people questions, start doing what we do best. And what we do best is never behind this screen. It's always out, boots on the ground. So we'll be getting out there. I'm trying to get all this other stuff kind of moved off so I can do my job. And it sounds like we're moving things right along. It sounds like things are going to be, back to business as usual. And we're going to continue to do our job and do our job well. At the end of the day, the mom and stepdad's story stinks to high heaven. The idea that we have to act like it doesn't stink to high heaven is hogwash. We're going to say it stinks to high heaven. We're going to say their behavior stinks to high heaven. Their mannerism, the way they talk, how they can talk about sex toys, but can't seem to talk about their son is disgusting and deplorable. And to be on these hate channels acting like it's a good old time, hey, I'm lapping it up. Keep talking. I love suspects in crimes, especially with children, to keep talking. I love to hear them put their foot in the mouth, and I love to know that I can identify this will be used against them in a court of law. So we're going to continue to allow them to keep running their flaps, and we're going to continue to record it, and we're going to continue to stick it to the side, and we're going to continue to build the case, and we're going to continue to do what we do, and then at the end, drop the mic. So if you guys hear of any interviews that either of these people are on publicly, send those to me immediately so I can log it and I can record it and I can get it set aside. These parents are not going to get back to life as normal when a child is missing and when they're only thinking of sex. Okay, there's a child missing that's been missing over a year. I could give two craps about what your proclivities are. Not that it's anybody's public business, but screaming outside of a public courthouse somehow is state secret. It is, these people are so far messed up in their cranium. It is beyond pale. And this is a mother that gave birth to this child that's acting like this with a yahoo of a husband that's acting like this. So we're going to dive on into it. We're going to continue to keep this focused on Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and the people we believe have a lot of answers to be had. They have plenty of time to flap those gums, but they don't have enough time to tell where this boy is or what happened on February 26th around 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Cut it out. I'm not buying it. We're not buying it. We're going to continue to keep working on the maps. We're going to continue to plug away. We're going to start figuring out on how the best way to get search activities up and running in this case. And we're going to do it precisely. We're going to do it all above board. And we're not taking no for an answer unless it's a private property person. But other than that, if it's county property, if we've got to petition the court to get ourselves on public property, that is exactly what we are prepared to do as a channel. This child needs to be found. I had to pay $4,000 to buy myself out of the lease because that's how bad I got after I had already lived there for 5 years. Wow. Yeah, this place, we're shining a light on this whole little network of whatever we're seeing. We're definitely doing that. I think we're doing very good. And we're also shining a light on the problems that are in Tennessee. These are problems that I have been screaming about for years. I have more open cases in Tennessee than any other state. Any other state. We have 4 that we're covering. That means that they have to hit all of the check boxes to be on the Bullhorn Betty show. Okay? We have 4 in one state. All unsolved, all no bodies, and all no closer to justice. That is a problem that everybody needs to understand when it comes to the state of Tennessee. They have to do better. I respect Bill Lee. I have high regard for Bill Lee. But more has to be done, and it's his responsibility to make sure that it is funded properly, especially our law enforcement. I also need to be working on a federal level, which I am going to start working on because I'm sick and tired of these states receiving federal funds and then telling people that are outside the state that you cannot get public records in their state unless you're a resident of their state. I want to make sure that any state that does that doesn't get federal funds, or they need to start ponying up records. So I don't know how I'm going to address that with my politicians here in Florida and start working that up to the federal level. But that's what we're going to do. I mean, we've started this campaign for children years ago, right? And nothing has been done. I went to a CPAC meeting, handed out, I mean, Jim Jordan basically told me that they didn't have time to deal with this right now. That they had, at this time we had Russian spy submarines off the coast of Florida, I believe, or some state, and we had Chinese blimps in the air and all kinds of stuff. So not a top priority for them. And of course, I was instructed that I needed to get 35 states on board, which I've been working for years, right? We're starting to get some type of movement, but we need a full rewrite of a horrible, interstate, child interstate. The interstate part of it is, I don't think it's been changed since like 1946 or 1976. I can't remember what it is now. I haven't been campaigning for it as much now as I did 2 years ago. But I got to tell you, it needs to be rewritten. It's got to be fixed. And I remember when I handed him my card, his eyes went like, whoa, I don't know, because at the end of the day, the Department of Children and Family Services have got to get it together. I think that the Department of Children and Family Services at a federal level need to be closed, much like the U.S. Department of Education. They're not helping. I think all the money that us taxpayers are paying should be funneled directly to the states. I think it would give them more money because if we're not paying thousands of bureaucrats to oversee the money, and they'll be able to hire better paid people, be able to, there's a lot of great people that are social workers that don't even want to be a social worker anymore because they're burnt out. And the only people willing to take the jobs are the rotten ones because nobody else wants them. So we need to have better salaries. We need to have more state and local Department of Children and Family Services, workers, social workers, to be able to manage their caseload. Their caseloads are unmanageable. This is a department that gets billions of dollars, and they can't even manage the caseloads that they have. Clearly, they're understaffed. That means the money's being mismanaged. You take out the whole federal component, that's the middleman that sucks up the majority of the money. I think it would be better for each state individually if we cut out the federal Department of Children and Family Services. Now, I still think that there needs to be oversight at a federal level, of course. And of course, I think that there needs to be a federal system that when you plug a child's name and date of birth or social security number, and likewise for the parent, you get where they've been and how much contact that they've been with the Department of Children and Family Services across multiple states. I don't think you should have to have a warrant for that information. Because there are a lot of parents that hop from state to state to hide so their kids won't be taken away from them. It doesn't mean that their children are in any less danger. It means that they're gaming the system by moving from state to state. And I think if they had a central database that everybody has to put their information into, it would stop a lot of that. And when a person's driver's license changed and they're in the system, it should automatically trigger some type of contact from the Department of Children and Family Services. Exactly, Grace. A grave crime with Grace. A national database. Not all these computers from one side of the United States to the other side of the United States are connected. Nor is it easy for, say, a Georgia CPS worker to see the files in Massachusetts. That has to change. So hopefully there will be some changes coming. I know that, I take on some of these projects and they're very, very overwhelming. But once we start getting the movement that's needed, then it starts, then my involvement, once it starts being taken over by a politician, then my involvement starts reducing, which is good, but you have to get them on board first. And so I think what I'm going to start doing is approaching my legislature here in Florida, where we freely give our public records. You don't have to be a person of the state because we believe taxpayers are taxpayers. The state of Florida receives federal funds. Therefore, the taxpayers, the people that are deserve to have those answers, whether or not they live here or reside here. We get a lot of federal tax dollars. So does Tennessee. So I'm going to make sure we have the Sunshine Law as well. So I'm going to absolutely make sure that we're going to start putting a kibosh. And maybe I may be several years ahead, but we're going to start putting a kibosh on this this ability to collect federal funds and not produce people documents. So interested in learning a little more about that. Figuring out what all goes into that on a federal level. I know it's not a high priority item. But it is an item that needs to be addressed at some point. So we'll start putting our feelers out in the political world and seeing what comes back and see what legwork goes into it, and if the legwork's worth the outcome. Because Tennessee is not the lone state that does this. There are multiple states that do this, and we, the taxpayers, are entitled to information from even states we don't live in because they are taking our taxpaying money. So that's kind of where I feel on that. And we'll just keep working at this. And there's one other thing I wanted to show you before we call it. This is kind of interesting, and I want to explore this a little bit more. So in my research, it was either last night or early this morning. I can't remember. I came across this FBI article. It's found on LEB. I don't really know what that is, but it's like the current state of interview and interrogation. And they really break down different techniques of interrogating, like the Reed technique. They have a peace model. They have a cognitive approach. They have a kinetic method, a strengths and weaknesses. A lot of different things that I think that the importance of silence. They have even the conclusion of everything, and of course a few endnotes that might perk our curiosity. So this is something that I'd also like to go over. I think this will kind of give us an idea, an idea of different interview techniques or different situations or something like that. And because we're watching a lot of police interrogations, and we can start, maybe if we start honing in on this stuff, we might be able to hone in on the specific technique that they're using inside the interrogation room, which would be kind of awesome. It may not happen soon, but I think over time of us constantly studying this and watching this, we might be able to start identifying the techniques that law enforcement's using when interrogating suspects or witnesses. Witnesses get interrogated as well as, what do you know? As you see, it's not the screaming to the top of your lungs, banging your fist on the table, slamming the suspect into the wall, smacking them around a little bit, coming close to waterboarding. That doesn't happen in real life interrogations. It just doesn't. So, but anyways, this has been interesting. We're going to monitor this case with Jessica Lyman and her son Eli, because I now it's got me drawn in. I want to know who done it. You know, who could take this beautiful 8-year-old boy off this world? I mean, not that I justify the mother being taken off this world. Nobody should be living without their mom. And I feel so bad for that 17-year-old girl that's just about to go out into life and now will never have her mom to call and ask questions to when she has a baby, when she has a bad day, when she has a fight in her marriage, you know, when she graduates high school or college, high school too, high school and college. Her mom's gone. That affects a girl more than you can imagine. Just that missing somebody that you truly need. And my heart really does break for her daughter that now has to live with this, as well as her son. You know, I can't imagine waking up one day and finding your whole life turned upside down in a blink of an eye. I can't imagine the PTSD those kids are going to go through with the gruesome discovery that they made. It is very, very, very difficult to try to even imagine. So just say a prayer for the family and everybody involved, especially for her two kids that now are going to be growing up without a mom. Again, I pray to God that the 15-year-old child has no part in this. That would just be so much worse for her older daughter if that were the case. So I'm really rooting that it's a boyfriend or this child's father. Not that I wish that this case was like this to begin with, but you know me, I'd prefer not thinking a child is capable of this, right? But he was in the house. Unfortunately, we have to look at him until such other information becomes available. But let's not look at him too hard. Let's not, you know, he's a 15-year-old boy and he just lost his mother, and we don't have any information or factual information that even points to the son other than the fact that he was in the home. Okay, that's it. And that's just not enough. It's just not enough to make that leap. The only thing I'm saying is we have to look at these people, you know, we have to look at all of them. But I don't want you guys misunderstanding why we're looking at him, right? He just happens to be in the house. That is really the only reason why we have to look. Do I believe it's him? I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's this boy's father. I don't know if it's another person in this woman's life. You know, I don't want to assume one way or another. I just want to say that these are most likely the top suspects that are going to be looked at from an investigative perspective. I'm not saying that any of them had any culpability whatsoever in this homicide, these homicides. But I just really pray that it's not the son. That's you know, this day and age, it's sad that we even have to contemplate that, but I just really hope it's not. So anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Go make it a great day this Thursday, April 10th. We will be back here on Friday. I've got, as you know, a lot of work, a lot of legal paperwork. That's why the shows are kind of hit and miss. I'm trying to keep this at 10, but sometimes I just have to do it early in the morning. I try to do one at lunch, and this will help me kind of resolve two shows into one. For this, you know, just this short period of time. Once the discovery and stuff has been done and I file motion to compel and some new discovery requests out and schedule the other motions on hearing, I'll have a little bit of breathing room because I know that the judge is dealing with some trials and and there's not going to be any availability on his schedule until June. So we'll have some breathing room to hopefully do some type of work in May. I'd really like to get out. I don't want to go all the way to Utah. Utah's too far away. It's just a pain in the butt to get there. But, you know, that being said, Salt Lake, Utah is fairly easy to get to by plane. But it's not really the case I want to invest my time in. I would really like to invest my time in and actually putting my boots on the ground for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and getting out there searching for him. So that's where we're at right now. We will be back later this evening. We're going to be plotting all the pieces. If you guys did not watch my yesterday evening's show, please go watch that show. Please send me any emails. If you live inside the 50-mile radius or the 100-mile radius, please provide me the requests that I've asked for in that show if you're willing to help. We are marking and plotting all of these places in the whole 50 to 100-mile radius. So we have identified places to search should any of us, like there may be a day that somebody's in the area and you guys got 3 or 4 people and you're bored and you just want to help out. You have time. Everybody's, getting a little anxious and antsy and yet you don't have anything to do. Well, go out there and search for a child. Go out there and search for a child. And so once those are all plotted, I'll take a picture of the map, make it better so you guys can see the areas. If there's an area close to you and you or your friends or your family would like to go out there and help search those areas and clear those areas, please do. In this type of terrain in Tennessee, I always bring a stick with me. You want to check the ground because if the ground is too hard, there's no possibility for like burial or anything like that. Not that that's the only thing we're looking for. We're looking for, people that are known for taking in children. It could be a small center. It could be an unregulated center. It could be word of mouth center. It could be a cult-like center, okay, that takes kids in without the government knowing about it. We don't know. We need to look at all avenues when it comes to Sebastian Rogers, but I feel like we're kind of losing groundwork on the ground. So we need to rein that back in and start getting some more people back out there searching for him in the woods, which is where I believe he will be found. So long story short, we'll go over these techniques this evening when I come live, and we'll have a show going over and plotting our coordinates on our Google map and saving those coordinates onto the Google map. So we'll be able to go and search them if and when we're in the area and clear an area. I'd like to clear as many areas over the next, several months as possible. So I'll be doing several different trips to Tennessee, different sections of Tennessee, an effort to roll out these searches. I will broadcast those searches. You're more than welcome to come out and help. I will be notifying law enforcement in any area that I go in to search for this child, and see about having someone stationed there when we are searching, or at least doing drive-bys so our personal property is safe. We know the mom and stepdad and the animals that they have hired and choose to coordinate with, and we know that they're dirty people that don't mind doing criminal conduct. And hopefully, if they choose to do criminal conduct, they get caught and get arrested and thrown in jail for that criminal conduct. But we will broadcast it. We're not going to be going under the radar. We're going to be as transparent as possible, and we're going to make sure that what we do is transparent as possible, especially in light of the constant threats from Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot and their team. So that's kind of where we're at on that front. So God bless each and every one of you guys. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And for each and every one of you, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless each and every one of you. See you soon. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We've brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America. And more importantly, God bless our victims.